What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So this week's UFC Fight Night certainly proved to be the week of the submissions. In the co-main event, we saw Clay Guida go out via knee bar. But let's talk about probably the most impressive submission of all, and the only one to ever happen inside of the UFC's octagon. And I'm talking about the standing head and arm triangle that Jessica Andrade pulled off in the first round against Amanda Lemos.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, she was losing that fight every minute of that first round until she got to that good position. For people that don't train jiu-jitsu or don't really have an understanding of the submission world, a head and arm choke is very, very hard to hit, even when you have them in the right position on the floor. To have somebody up against the cage, that makes it probably twice as difficult because you're not able to use the floor to help push off and use your feet to kind of dig into them and dig your chest, dig your chin, dig your shoulder into their under their chin.
There you go.
That's it right there. Still early in the morning, but yeah, it was pretty impressive. You never see it like the UFC said. That's never been done inside the octagon. So props to her. But yeah, I think 115 has a new. They have to welcome back Jessica Andrade because she's certainly there.
A new star that is also an old star, so to speak, in the division, obviously beating Rose Namajunas via that incredible head slam. And I think we got to give Jessica Andrade some credit for possibly being one of the most dynamic finishers in the UFC. I mean, she's got wins via head slam. She's got wins via standing head and arm triangle now. And listen, she just tied Amanda Nunes for the most finishes in UFC women's history at 14. And she's done it in 3 weight classes. She's finished people at 115. She's finished people at 125 and even at 135, if you can believe it, because she's kind of a small gal. She's even gotten finishes at bantamweight, which is really impressive. And I think that 115 is such a stacked division for women. And I love to see, you know, back in the day when women's martial arts first came to the UFC, there was such a sizable difference between Ronda Rousey and everybody else that it didn't even look like it was fair. It was like almost a lamb being led to slaughter until Holly Holm was the great equalizer with that beautiful kick. And ever since that moment, it seems like women have really gotten extremely good and super technical, well-rounded, to the point now where we're seeing belts change hands pretty often. We're seeing high-level competition. We're seeing divisions where anybody in the top 10 can beat anybody on any given day at 115, at 125, at 135, and it's something really remarkable.
Yeah, I think it's really great for the sport because MMA is progressing faster than any sport we've ever seen and maybe in history. And women's MMA might be the only thing growing faster than regular men's MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls are just figuring out these techniques. And you've got girls like Valentina Shevchenko, that like Jessica Andrade, that are able to do things just as good as some of the men that are, you know, trying to come up with these creative ways to finish fights and interesting ways to get submissions or interesting ways to get knockouts. So I couldn't be more happy for these girls. They're doing a great job. Jessica Andrade is one of those. She's a little bit bigger of a star than I think people maybe realize. I think in Brazil, people definitely respect her and know who she is. She doesn't speak a whole lot of English, so it's hard for her to pick up any steam over here in America. But, you know, if she keeps winning and bouncing around and slowly but surely collecting all these records, I mean, she's going to be undeniable, and we'll probably see her right up there in a title fight pretty soon if she stays at 115. I think the girls at 125 are a little bit too big for her, and while she's a fast girl and she is pretty strong, the height and the range and the basically the space between the fighters is what's going to make it more difficult for her to get in there. As we saw last night, you know, she was going for leg kicks a few times, and her opponent Lemos was able to just slide her feet back a little bit, and her legs, they're not the longest, so she was kept missing and having air balls when she'd throw the punches. She really couldn't get any offense going on her feet. But when she's able to, you know, get into the clinch, when she's able to get a hold of these girls, she's really able to let her power and her strength be on full display. And that's what we saw. I think moving forward, her game plan should be, let me rough these girls up a bit. Let me go get my hands on them because I'm clearly much stronger than everybody. I'd say everybody at 115. I don't think there's a girl in 115 that could hang with her strength-wise and grappling and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think she's one of the best grapplers, if not the best grappler in the 115 division. No doubt about that. And certainly the strongest, because now circling back to that head and arm choke, you know, for those that don't know, when you do a head and arm choke like that, it's really predicated on being able to kind of drive your weight through your shoulder, basically on their esophagus, and one of their hands is up in the air, and that kind of, you know, crimps the artery on the other side of the neck, and it's this really powerful choke if it's executed properly. But there's some sensitivity, and that's one of those chokes that you really have to kind of feel out for yourself and practice it a lot to find that sweet spot. But point being, it requires you being on top of the person, driving your weight into them. So the fact that she could be standing face to face with Lemos and still generate enough pressure, not using gravity of her body on top of hers, to still get that finish, really speaks to just how strong Andrade actually is and how strong that grip must have been, but even more so how properly placed her shoulder, Lemos's arm, the way she was squeezing, where she was applying pressure, all that had to be perfect for her to get that submission. So credit to her for that.
Yeah, and I think the shorter opponent actually wound up benefiting from being a little bit shorter and a couple inches under Lemos, because what you do in that situation, I'll kind of nerd out for a second on this submission. And it happens to me, and you usually find that the people that can land the head and arm choke on you, they all do the same thing, and it's a killer move. But you get the position. It's not that hard to get to that position, but it's very hard to finish somebody, especially in a competition, especially in a fight. MMA people are tough as nails.
Yeah.
So what you're looking for is you get to the head and the arm up, and you've got your arms, you know, behind them clasped together. Now what happens is there's not enough downward pressure with your shoulder on their chest, and you're not able to get the squeeze to get the neck closed in. So what a lot of people do is they slide down your body a little bit and then slide their shoulder back up. So if they start with their shoulder here, they actually come off the choke a little bit and then slide back up.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the choke so tight. And that's what she was able to do. And it would just happen to be because she's simply shorter that she was able to get her shoulder in there at the right angle. And it was, you know, you have to give her a lot of credit for knowing that she had that, knowing that it was sinking in, it was tighter, and Lemos was in real trouble, because a lot of people would have probably abandoned that game plan and moved over to a different clinch or a double leg or some sort of takedown. But it was a good fight IQ showing for Jessica Andrade.
No doubt. Great fight awareness by Andrade. Guys, drop us a comment. Let us know, what did you think of the submission last night, and should she stay at 115? We always love chatting with you guys in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.
Peace.